Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's great to be back with you today. It's a little bit of pressure though today. There's the title for today is questions you're probably asking or something like that. So, I think the pressure is I have to know what kind of questions you're asking. Number one, what's my favorite Mexican restaurant? That's probably a question you're asking. Puerto Vallarta, 35 Federal. It's a great restaurant. Probably you'd never walk into it. If you just drove by. So, but they do takeout. So make sure to go by there. But here's maybe some bigger questions that you might be asking, like, at least the questions that I'm getting, and then maybe and some of them that I'm asking myself, like to try and get some answers. So, um, where do we see hope? I think that's the uh, kind of this pervading question is like, are we just gritting our teeth and holding on and trying real hard for tomorrow to come and just hope? And I think it's interesting. Uh, Hope always has a resting place. So like hope in what, right? You can't just say, oh, just have hope, just have hope, just have hope. Like hope in what? Hope is this confident assurance that tomorrow can be better than today, or maybe this idea that something I desire, look forward to, will actually happen. And I think as we think about where do we find hope, part of that has to do with where are we looking for hope and what are we putting our hope in? Because there really is hope. I see hope all around us. I see this reality that tomorrow can be better than today in the way passing into generosity and how neighbors are really are coming out for neighbors, and the sense of togetherness, this sense of we're for each other is a reason to hope, is a reason to say, oh man, tomorrow is better, is going to be better than today. My connection with my neighbor is better today than it was yesterday. That's hope. My willingness or my desire to unleash to maybe play my role in what it means to be a bringer of hope on outpost, to engage in a conversation of love. Those things are where hope is found. And so, man, I just encourage you to open your eyes and see, uh, and maybe let go of like this idea of, oh, I'm placing my hope in this. I'm holding on tightly to this idea that tomorrow, or maybe next week, things will be back to where they were. Maybe just let go of that idea of hope, of some predetermined circumstance. But maybe our hope can be in that we would experience life in Jesus like maybe we've never experienced before. That our relationships would be more full and more fulfilling than ever before. Um, so, where do we see hope? Here's another question: where do we measure success? A lot of the kind of our normal scorecards that we keep to see if we're being successful are gone. Like even the busyness of our calendar, or the opportunity to get lots of stuff done, to be seen as being productive. Some of those things are gone. And even it's interesting as people say, "Hey, how are you doing?" That's you. When someone asks that question, you go to a scorecard in your mind to be able to answer that question. Whether you answer it honestly or not is another thing. But what kind of scorecard are you going to in your mind? And I would just encourage this. I think there's a couple of things. Um, when some people were trying to trap Jesus, they asked him kind of what's the bottom line, like what's the biggest deal, and he answered with a pretty famous saying: "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength, and love your neighbor as yourself." Um, and I think as if we think about, hey, how are we doing? One of the great questions or scorecards that we can go to is, hey, how am I experiencing a deeper love for God today than I did yesterday? Experiencing His love for me deeper than I did yesterday, and how am I expressing my love for Him deeper than I did yesterday, and how am I loving my neighbor better today than I was yesterday? Um, I think this moment provides us an opportunity to do both of those things better than we've ever done before. Create some more space, and maybe peels back some of those things that we normally keep score about, and so peels back some of those things that we normally lean into for our identity, and our idea of success, and be able to get to this core of who we are, that we are women and men who are made to live in a recognition of God's love for us, and then to live lives that we return that love, or we're actually able to connect to that love, and then that pours out of us in the way that we love other people around us. So a couple of things. Where are we? Sorry, people are texting me right now. It's great. And my phone is just right here. So where do we see hope? Where do we measure success? And maybe this is the biggest question: what's tomorrow going to look like? And here's the answer: I don't know. And the reality is nobody knows, and that makes us uncomfortable, because unknownness leads to fear and drives our desire to find out who has the answer. And so a lot of the stuff that you see on social media, people kind of saying, "Oh, here's what's going to happen," or "Here's what's going to happen," or "Here's what's going to happen," that kind of tends to drive our fear. Is what we have to recognize is I don't know, and that it's okay to say I'm not sure exactly, but here's what I know, is what God wants me to do in this moment, is to live in His love for me, and to express that in the way that I love my neighbor. And early on, I got this idea that this is a time of wilderness for us. The in the Bible, this event that happened, their slavery, and leads them towards this promised land, this land where they can live under His rule and reign. And in between those is this wilderness time where God represented His leading in this cloud in the day and this pillar of fire by night, and He just said, "Hey, just follow me, just follow me." And I think this moment. I think that of this moment of like our old lives were this old time in Egypt, and God's freed us from that, and God's freed us from some of that oldness, one of what normal used to be for us. Normal, maybe finding our value in our busyness, or finding our value and our worth in our position, or the number of likes we get on social media, whatever that looks like. Kind of freed us from that, and has led us to a time where we can just simply follow Him and trust Him for today. Here's this great thing: if you follow God today, into the places that He called you to go with courage, you'll be at the right exact place to start tomorrow that He wants you to be. Does that make sense? So just do what He's asked you to do today, and you'll be in a great place to start tomorrow. And so we don't have to know the future. We don't have to know exactly what tomorrow looks like. What we can press into is, what does it look like to live in the love of Jesus, and then to love the people around me like He's called me to live, and to be okay not having all the answers. So we are in this series called 28 Days of Prayer, and we start the second week of it on Sunday. So you can check it out on our social media. We have these little phrases every day that we're kind of pressing into, and just encourage you to kind of follow along, and then jump into that prayer. Is this great opportunity for us to just proclaim with our mouths that we believe that God exists, that He's alive, and He's for us. And so encourage you to be a part of that, and then to join us Sunday. And we're now in this place where you can invite a couple people. I've heard from lots of people that it's strange doing church, virtually. And what we're finding out is that one of the things that helps that is if you don't do it just with you and your spouse or your family, if you actually have a couple of people over, which now we can do, it cultivates that richer experience of church, of the service that we do on Sundays. So love you guys. Thanks for hanging out. Let's continue to press into what it means to be followers of Jesus in this moment, to thrive and not just survive. Thanks, guys. Love you. Bye.